Now, being a lender has its challenges too, right? So we're doing 3, 4, 17 pre-approvals a weekend, and they happen to be for the same house. That sucks because you can't say, hey, listen, I just did a pre-approval for another guy and tell him that, or don't write on this because my pre-approval I just did offered more. So we're doing, 3, 4 times the amount of work for the same property, and the probability of everybody getting the property is 0, and the probability of one person getting it's probably 5.
Welcome to another episode of the Think Pod. My name is Jared Dykes. I just wanted to let you guys know about an event that we are doing May 17th and May 18th here in Millersville, Maryland. If you cannot make it to Millersville, Maryland, we are doing this event virtually, and this virtual event and in person is called Quantum Leap, which is basically Gary Keller's autobiography of how he built a billion-dollar empire, and this class will be taught by none other than John Newman, the godfather of real estate. This is an event that you do not want to miss out on. Forget about listings for a second. Forget about buyers for a second or inbound leads. This is going to allow you to look within yourself, your business, and how you can get to the next level using the systems, tools, and models that Gary Keller has already laid out for the real estate industry. I can't wait to see you there.
Welcome to the Think Pod, where thoughts have no limits. My name is Jared Dykes. Today we have with us a very special person inside of our community, someone who supports our network, our company, and our vision more than arguably anyone, Kyndle Quinones. And I know I didn't say that last name right. I've been trying to get it right literally since I talked to Shaq this morning at the gym. I was like, how do you say the last name? So can we get a nice pronunciation of that last name?
Quinones.
Quinones?
Quinones.
Okay.
Quinones.
Quinones.
Yeah.
Shaq didn't pronunciate it.
Or you could do Quinones.
Quinones.
But that's the Spanish version's Quinones.
It's fitting for Cinco de Mayo today, right?
See? That's about all you get on the Spanish speaking.
Really? You don't speak any Spanish?
I do, but not for work.
Not for work?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just not comfortable with it because, you've got to speak financing if you get something wrong.
True that.
Right. So.
And I'm excited to obviously get into, everything that you do now currently, but I was kind of curious, first off, for those who don't know who you are, what is it that you currently do inside of the mortgage business? And I'm curious about your day-to-day. But before we get there, what did life look like before this for you?
So I came right out of college into the mortgage industry.
Really?
So yeah, I have a crim degree and an English degree from Maryland, and I was going to go into the FBI.
Wow.
I was 18 days away from going down to Quantico, and the towers fell down. So I had a long look in the mirror, and I said, I don't want to go. And I was married 15 days after I graduated college, so I was like, I got to figure something out. So I was bartending for a bit.
Wow.
And with $60,000 worth of education and just bartending, my parents were like, you got to go do something. So I ended up taking a mortgage job in November of 2001, just thinking I was going to sail through until I figured out what I wanted to do. And here we are. It's 2022, and this is what I'm still doing.
What did that first mortgage job look like?
So it was kind of difficult because these days we have so much knowledge at our fingertips. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that back then. So it was, you had to grind and you had to go to offices daily, cold call daily. Rejection was very high because I was young. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything about a mortgage. I just kind of was relentless. I played lacrosse at Maryland, so I was Division I lacrosse player. So
you played lacrosse at Maryland?
I did.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was just one of those people that, I was very competitive. I still am. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to see if I could do it. And by April of 2002, I cried myself to sleep. I hated the job. I absolutely hated it. And I was going to figure out where I was going to go, but my mentality, I don't quit anything until I know I can do it. And then once I do it, then I can decide whether or not I want to walk away from it. And I hadn't given myself or the job enough time.
And how much time was that at that point where you were maybe thinking about giving up?
About 6 months.
Okay, so only 6 months.
Yeah, it's November into April. Yeah, so I remember sitting in the lunchroom, and this dear lady who still works at the other job I was at, she was like, if you don't like it, just leave. And I'm like, that's not my mentality. I have to make sure I can do it because I don't quit. And so I just decided to go and see if I could do it. In my first year, I did $9 million.
My second year, I did 16 million. My third year, I did 32 million. And it grows from there. So.
And that was purchase business, right?
Purchase business.
Wow.
Because when I got in the business, the interest rates were at 7.125%. So there wasn't anything, a refi boom going on.
Yeah.
And also the towers had just fallen. So the market was crashing. And I just walked right into it, not knowing anything about the financial world.
Wow. I'm curious, what made those 6 months so, like, was it the phones, cold calling? Was it more like just building relationships from an uncomfortable level?
Yeah, I mean, there was different times where it was just, I literally had to go print flyers, go to the real estate offices, try to get past the front desk. You
weren't even allowed there.
No, I just kept going in. And one guy said, yeah, come on in, bring your flyers tomorrow. So I got really excited. And I went and brought his flyers in, and then he pointed me, right in my face and told me to get the F out of his office the next day. And I was like, you just told me to come here. What? And so I sat in my car and I cried my eyes out, and I was like, I hate this job. This is awful. But I put my head down and I just started to find relationships, and I started to really kind of set my eyes on, there's a lot of real estate agents out there, right? So I can select who I want to work with based upon personality. So I just started going in that direction. But it took a while to get there because I was really, focused on anybody that had an R next to their, on their business card. I was going after them because I knew they were a realtor. But I really made relationships with the front desk people just so that I could get in. I was told by my boss at that time that you need to work nights and weekends all the time. And I said, I'm not working any weekends. I'm not doing it. He's like, yes, you are. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then he was right. I had to work every weekend because that was the only way I could get past the guard. So, and then I just found ways to get people outside of the office versus, it's a lot harder now than it was back then because you could just sit and chat with the front desk person and ease your way through the offices. But now everybody's kind of cornered into their in-house lenders, and they've got their stipulations, which I appreciate. As we have our own relationship. But it's one of those things that you just tenacity, being able to deal with the rejection, not letting it define who you are. Is really something that I kind of preach to now my generation of loan officers that I'm coaching. So,
and Kyndle, I would love to get some clarity on what you just said in terms of your loan officers. So, like, what is the structure currently now? Like, what have you built for yourself? At one point, I would assume it was just you as a solo loan officer, if that's the right terminology, and then now you have a team of other loan officers. Talk to us about your team. Like, how many loan officers do you have compared to maybe administrative staff? Does it look like that? Talk to us about your team.
Yeah, so I'm extremely proud of them. So I was given, kind of I don't want to say phone book because I think the internet was around when I got in, but I was just given a cubicle and a book and said, here, just look it up and go. And it took a long time and a lot of grind, and it scared me because I was salary up until 6 months, and then they cut me off, and I was 100% commission. So I just did not like that model, and I said, I can't have somebody train for 6 months and then go out, and it's a fail forward, in my opinion. So what I started when I started my company, I opened my branch in March of 2017. I left the company that I was with for 15 years to come over to the new company November of 16, opened my branch March of 17. And it was just me and my best friend, and we were working at my dining room table. And we were trying to find a place, to open the branch. I got in the car with a commercial real estate agent and drove around forever. That's not pleasant. Found a spot, and then, we opened our doors, and there was 4 of us. And now there's 14 of us.
Wow.
So I have my team. My team consists of 3 people. So I originate still. I touch every single file. I call every single client. I did 392 units myself last year. And I owe it all to my team. So Kendall Winkleman's on my team as well, and she's one that sat right next to the wall. I mean, I literally ponied her up right next door to me, and she'd get that knock if I needed her. But she came out of school knowing nothing about a mortgage, just like I did, but she got to listen to me, and she got to feel the grind and hear the grind. And I'd be like, teaching moment, let's do this, teaching moment. and I wouldn't allow her to go out on the field for at least 2 years. So I had her, kind of build up. So we just kind of take it freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year into the world, because I don't want them to jump off and fall flat on their face. So she's learned a lot, and she's now flying on her own, still assisting me with some stuff on the team. But she did $15 million last year herself. So now I have, my other assistant, Lindsay, she's licensed as well. So we're kind of going in that trajectory.
Wow.
But, make no mistake in thinking that I don't touch my clients, because I never want to get my foot out of the game. I just enjoy that. I enjoy figuring out problems for people. With my crim background, it's kind of cool in financing. I kind of find problems, and I problem solve all the time. Mm-hmm. And then with my college background and coaching background, something I haven't brought up yet, I don't like to lose. So I always, when I get a no, I'm like, okay, well, let me go find the yes. Mm-hmm. So, but my team is, my ops team is fantastic. I have 3 processors. I have an operations manager. I have an ops assistant manager. And in the corporate office, which is in Towson, we have a Mid-Atlantic division within a big entity of a national company.
Okay.
I have 13 closers, 11 underwriters. So I've got everybody really locked on our team. So it's really cool. Since I opened my doors, I've been the #1 producer in the Mid-Atlantic since I've gotten there. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. And but what's really cool is I'm being able to show these ladies and women to be able to here's what I did, here's the grind, this is what it takes, this is what the activities are, and just giving them a path to pave. So that they can get out there and be successful. And eventually I'm just going to manage what I've built and kind of step back from the origination side. So that time will come. I'm not sure when, because I need to learn how to be a racehorse owner versus a racehorse, but it's in my blood. So, but yeah. And then aside from that, I coached at Maryland for 10 years for lacrosse for the club team. And then I do travel lacrosse now. So I have been doing that since I got out of college for 21 years.
Wow.
Real quick,
Yeah.
there's something I've noticed about your team, especially. It's like a lot of women, right? And is it all women?
Organically, it ended up that way.
Yeah.
I've had men on the team, and it's not that we push them out. Just so, people don't work. I've had women leave too. It's just turned into and it's kind of cool. We have a sisterhood that's really, you don't see that in the financial world. Building them up is just super important for me, and having a safe place to just talk about whatever we want to talk about. And, kind of, we share our wins, we share our losses, we win for each other. I have a win jar in my office where we just say, hey, shout out, and we put your name in a jar, and every month we pull it for a gift card. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, just to build that camaraderie, because when you're in sales, as soon as you step out on the streets, it's a mess. So you might as well be supported inside as much as you can.
Wow.
Yeah, and that the sisterhood thing you talked about is awesome to see and hear, because it's like, I feel like there's so many different facets of like this male-centric business, especially in the sales world, but more specifically even like the lending world too, right? Like it's a very like old school way of doing things. I feel like now to see you running the way you're doing is really impressive. But my question is, what would you say to younger women who are thinking about, and any advice you'd give to them coming into a business like this that is traditionally like a male-centric business?
First, I'd say I'd want to talk to them, because I'd like to see if I have some talent to hire them. So that'd be the first thing I'd say. It is challenging. I'm not going to be here to bash the industry, because we do have a lot of male-dominating, finances that. I actually had an agent back in 2002 say, Kyndle, I love you to death, and I love your family, but I'd never work with you because you're a female, and females don't do financing. She told me that, and I was in the middle of my grind trying to get my feet wet. So to answer your question, I just, I'd give them that platform to say, here's what my expectations and my model looks like, and this is what the next level is going to be for you, and this is how I will train you. But my training is more like coaching. I'm not a good teacher. I'm a horrible teacher, but I'm a wonderful coach. So, and there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the time and the attention span to literally get broken down into, like the high C's and the high S's in the DISC model. I'm a high D and a high I. It doesn't fit me. So that's why I've built those people on my staff to be able to operate that. Yeah. So I would, so a young woman that wanted to get into this industry, first of all, I would say anything's possible. We've got some top females in our company that I admire and I adore. And, I just got ranked in the top 250 women in the United States for originating.
Really?
So, and when you say 250 people in the entire United States, it's pretty cool. And, one of my assistants like, I'm surprised it wasn't more. And I was like, well, the number one woman in America did $823 million last year. I would never want to do that much money because that means that you are constantly just burning every candle you have. And, that's just not the life that I want to have. But for me, it's important to give them a platform, something that's safe, something that they can, make mistakes, feed off the mistakes, build them on, we're only as good as our last transaction, right? And my biggest thing is I'm not that good. I just have made so many mistakes that I have gotten so much better.
Absolutely. And to that point of getting better, first off, I didn't know that so you guys are still hiring right now?
Yes. So I'm always looking for talent. I'm good on the ops side because my team's solid. Like it took me years to build it, subtract it, all of the things that you add and subtract to make the operations team what it needs to be. Because you can play the game of Jenga and hire, originators and not have a good support system and everything's going to fall. And I've watched that model happen, and that's not my model. So now that I have that baseline, I'm really, really looking to have the opportunity to speak to different women that are interested in this business and how we can grow them. I'm actually looking at opening up a branch down in Florida right now as we speak as well.
That's awesome.
So,
what part?
We're down in like Sarasota, Bradenton area. So we're looking to expand down there as well, and there's an office down there that already has some loan officers that I'm going to be courting soon. So
don't let me forget, I want to connect you to an agent down there, a couple agents. One thing that I was just thinking of is like, are you afraid of what's happening right now in the market?
Not at all. I actually, these kind of markets really, really keep me alive. They get me jived up because I'm super competitive, like I said, and this market as well as the real estate market, as I'm sure you guys would understand, needs to be cleansed. It really does. And I think everybody, over the past 18 months, my biggest thing is like you've been sitting around having filet mignons fall in your mouth. Like you're just little babies just opening your mouth and it's falling in your mouth. Right now we got to work, right? We have to shift, we have to work, and it's going to normalize, but it's not going to fall. Like, I've been through 5 administrations since I've been a loan officer. If you think about that, there's been the ebb and flows of 2008. 2008, I had a child, and we went into a massive crash. But that's not what we're structured anymore. We're so red taped with lending. There's no way that people can get loans unless they can afford them. Back in the day when they had stated income, stated assets, loans like that, that's what caused that. But not this inflation is just something we're going to ride and go through. But I'm excited about it. It makes me wake up every morning and just get a little bit more aggressive about what I'm doing, and it makes me appreciate the sales side of me.
How does this market change, if at all, your lead generation model in terms of either connecting with realtors or connecting with purchase business in general before a realtor does?
So that's something we're working with. I'm a big activity generator, lead gen, and activity retention. So I've set something up for my team where I'm actually monitoring their activities versus their loans. I care more about their activities than I do the loans coming in, because as you're planting, those seeds will grow, right?
Yeah.
And right now we're having such a struggle with people getting under contract. We're working, just as real estate agents are, we're working every single weekend to maybe get one contract, if that, because people are losing them left and right now. So what I'm doing is I'm just saying, keep your head to the ground, focus on what you're doing every single day, because as you plant those seeds, those water, they will start to sprout, and they will. And it might take 3 months, it might take 6 months, but I'm going back to the 2002 days where I had to grind and I didn't have the knowledge or the tools that I do now, and I'm giving them to the girls that are the young Kyndle. So that's what I'm doing. I'm monitoring it. I'm checking in twice a month. I'll peek my head in on the activity board. We have this whole platform on Monday.com that we've set up, and and I just go in there and it gives me the thumbs up, thumbs down. We have a tracker on exactly what we expect and the expectation of the team standards. And by the end of the month, I'll go in on the Monday. If the end of the month is a Friday, and I'll be like, hey, you haven't done your coffees, or you haven't done your Popeyes, or you haven't done your whatever events you need to get to. And I'm going to be a stickler about it, because that's what, through this market where people want just say, you know what, I'm going to give up, or I'm going to go I'm going to take off at 3 o'clock because there's nothing to do, or I'm going to twiddle my thumbs and I'm going to, or woe is me. There's a lot of Eeyores going on right now, right? So that's not me. Okay, well, I'm entertaining that because some of the largest producers grew in the tightest markets.
Yeah.
And that's my motto, is just to continue to keep your head down, keep conditioning, keep training, and you're going to get out there and you're going to be the best player you possibly can be.
I had I'm trying to understand a little bit more about relationship between a realtor and a mortgage lender.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of your lead gen, like for real estate agents, they'll prospect for listings, buyers, but they'll prospect. It's not like they are prospecting mortgage lenders to give them referrals. Would you argue that the game of lead generation for mortgage lending is connecting with realtors rather than connecting with a client before a realtor does? Because I don't hear about a lot of mortgage companies having like an internal sales division that brings in inbound leads through the internet and then scrubs them and then gives them. I'm just curious, like, is there a reason for that? Is it just quite honestly easier to build relationships with realtors rather than the consumer?
So that's a great question. So I've always been relationship built. Mm-hmm. So I just, and it's easier for a lender to identify our community, right? We can go to a real estate office, we know your agent. You can't identify your community knowing if somebody is selling or buying just by going to the grocery store,
yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier for me to do that. So we, back in 2002, I was trained by this guy named Doug Smith, and he was talking about faucets of business. So he'd be like agents, financial advisors, divorce attorneys.
Okay.
If you imagine faucets going and keep all those faucets running, I'm 98% agent referral, right? So that could shift. Like I need to shift and say, okay, in order to control my business more and select who I want to give the business to, I should open up these other faucets as well, right? So we're looking into, social media managers. We're looking into, having a TikTok account for the company. It's not my thing. I'm trying to get into it. I'm really trying to get into it.
You said that very
and there is a massive resistance there, but not for the idea, but just for me. But so we're trying to do these things. I mean, lead gen with all the leads that you can buy and all that stuff. I'm a warm and fuzzy person. I'm a real person. I don't like talking to somebody that's cold.
Yes.
Like and then trying to convert them. Half the leads that are coming in are wrong numbers, or the people are just scrolling at night. It's not something that is my model. Does it work for people? Absolutely. But
does it work for people?
It does. I mean, if you've got the salesperson that's more of a high S, that's real systematic and really wants to just call and get that, they certainly can. I would drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
So I just want to go out and make the relationships. And one of my biggest points that I always make when I coach is go out and find people that you like. You love, you trust.
Yeah.
Because the depths of the relationships that I have with my real estate agents, because they're my friends, right? My competitors hate that because and it's not that I work on the depth of a relationship for the business. It's organically happening. And, when my parents died, I had my agents would stand up and speak on behalf of me.
Wow.
And it was really, really cool, and it's just something, I've been doing this for 21 years, right? I'm only 45. So half of my life has been spent in here. So of course, these are my friends. So it's just a different motto. And you know what? Sometimes I'll challenge myself. I'll say, you know what, guys, get in here. I'll go call a mega that I don't know, or I know and knows of me, but works with somebody else, and we'll see how they respond. And then you still have that fear of rejection, and you go after it, and you're like, all right, well, they didn't call me back. Well, let me try to go after it again. But it's just one of those things that we could open up leads, and mortgage companies do. I pay for a Zillow lead to go through my branch, right? But I don't take any of those leads. I hand them out as they come. So I just robbing them to my loan officers, and I think we've gotten 6 in 7 months. So it pays for itself for what it's worth.
One thing that I've noticed, and this isn't just you, but like lender specific, that world to me, I see a lot of spending on the agents, on the realtor, like going to pick up the bill at a happy hour or investing in lunch for whatever. How do you justify those investments?
So you got to look at your rate of return. You really do. I mean, because if you don't, you are going to just become a slave to that, and it's very easy to fall into that bucket. I hold myself accountable with my business partners, and I look at every time I look at my spending because I'm a P&L owner. I take a look at what I'm doing. I see what's going out, what's coming in, and if it's not working, we got to have those hard conversations. We have to have accountability. So it's very easy to get thrown into the let me just go ahead and pay. Like I had an agent text me yesterday and say, hey, listen, can we talk? So you want to see if you can pay for some of my Realtor.com leads or my Zillow leads. And it's not an agent I work a lot with. And I'm like, yeah, we can talk. But, we're going to talk about other things too. We're going to talk about other avenues of how we can build the business. We're going to talk about not just focusing on just let's just dump and jump. We're going to talk about how we can add value. Add value is huge for me. And, you can't just put your hand out and ask for it. It's got to reciprocate both ways. And if it's not, it's like fire fast, right? You got to fire fast. So otherwise it's money in the wind.
Is there an investment that if you look back over the past 20 years that you're like, oh, I shouldn't have sponsored that bowling outing that had no people
1,000%.
there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yes.
What's one specifically that comes to mind?
You don't have to say the name or anything
just like an absolute disaster.
I spent $15,000 to have somebody follow me around with a camera for 2 days, and it was the worst experience
How much
of my
are we charging
life.
you for this? How much are we charging you for this?
It was, yeah.
I'm kidding.
I missed out on
It
15
was-
grand. What the
it
hell?
was the worst experience of my life. Yeah, we did days of filming, and then we got maybe 5 weeks of material, and that was it. And, it was promised to do this, but, oh, wait, we need more money. And I just was like, you know what, I'm out. So was an experience. Yeah. Do you learn? Yes. So, that's
What year was this around? I'm just curious. Like, was it trying to go on YouTube and stuff?
It was
when vlogs were really
18, 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, we're going to take you to the next level. We're going to do all this. And then it was just like, okay, here's your videos and we'll see you later. So
Wow.
yeah, that was a big waste of money. But we got some good headshots out of it. That's all I can say.
That's funny. All right. I want to run through some scenarios with you, Kyndle, if that's okay with
Sure.
you. What's one thing that you can't go on an airplane without?
Well, I hate flying. So
You hate flying?
I hate flying. I have to fly out on Monday, actually. I actually had to get hypnosis for flying because I was such a bad flyer. So if
Wait, what? Wait. We can't. Let's not just glaze over that one. What do you mean hypnosis for flying?
So I was in a really, really bad storm on my honeymoon, and it was so bad that we got to Puerto Rico, and I was begging my mom to put me on a boat to get home because I didn't want to get back on the plane. So she gave the credit card to my husband and over the phone and got me completely wasted at the bar so that I could get on a first-class flight back home. So I didn't fly for 5 years after that.
Wow.
And then I made my top producer trip the first time I made it. We went down to Florida, and the storms were so bad when we were going to the airport that the palm trees were sideways. I was like, I'm not getting on that plane. And they're like, oh, yeah, you are. I'm like, no, I'm not. So the owner of the company at the time was like, Kyndle, just come over here. We'll play cards. I'll pay for your drinks. And I was like, I'm not getting on the plane. So as I watched my entire company get on the plane, we stayed in Naples, Florida. And my husband looked at me and goes, I don't want you to talk to me for the next 5 hours. And we got a Nissan Sentra and started driving up 95 in the worst winds ever. But I heard it was the worst flight. So I made the best decision of it. So I had hypnosis because I've been making award trips and I wasn't going on them. And I got, it started to handicap me a little bit. So I did some hypnosis through audio and I had to listen to it for probably months at a time.
Wow.
And then I have to fly with it. And now I fly without it. It's just a breathing technique that I have to do. But I think it's a control thing. Like if I could fly the plane, I think it would be fine. But
Yo,
but I
that's
can't.
so true.
Have you ever thought about driving? And one thing I think would probably be great for you is like the automated Tesla, where you just like set it on drive. You're just going down 95 and you're just getting all your work done.
yeah.
But even does that freak you out? 'Cause
Yeah,
you're not controlling the car?
So our business development guy, he's got a Tesla, and one day he did that, and I about grabbed the wheel from him. I was like, you got to stop. You got to put those hands on there now. But yeah, no. So something that I can't take, or what I can fly, what I can't fly without, would be my AirPods, because I have to have them in. I have to be able to have my I have a big old iPad. It's the business one, and I just sit there and I jam out on that, and then I listen to like Tupac and 50 Cent and stuff while we're flying. So I get
Hell
all
yeah.
jacked up. So
How did you get introduced to hypnosis? Like,
I'm not a big medicine taker. So I just wanted to kind of find something natural to get into. So I found through research, I found this guy in Philadelphia. So I connected with him, and we chatted for about an hour and a half, and then he gave me my audio, and now I'm flying. I'm going to the Cayman Islands on Monday.
does a lot, that's, congratulations,
Thank
that's
you.
cool.
Thank you.
Does a lot of that have to do with like the subconscious mind?
Yeah, so the first part's meditation, second part's putting you through a turbulent flight and what you should do and what it means. And then one cool time I was actually on a flight and a pilot was next to me, and he could tell I was nervous. So he was telling me what the engine was doing and what the sounds were and everything that was happening. And
Wow.
it was super chill for me because I was able to really kind of know what was going on. So that identifies the control factor for me.
That's super
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Do you see, and this is completely up for discussion. I don't know if there's a right answer or wrong answer. I'm just very curious to hear your perspective on this. Is there going to be a time in the next maybe 5-10 years where people, and if this doesn't make sense, just let me know that it doesn't make sense because I don't know about the home
Sure.
loan process,
Sure.
I guess. Will there be a time that you could get pre-qualified for a home for having cryptocurrency like Ethereum or like some type of like crypto? Like, could you actually get qualified for a home because you own X amount of crypto, or are you still going to have to get it into real cash? Like, could you ever see a day in the future where people are getting pre-qualified for loans with not just the U.S. currency?
And not just crypto, but like blockchain in general being in that process, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're going with.
Well, I mean, anything's possible, right? So I would say as long as you can show it as, because assets are one thing. That's one thing that a lot of people get confused. They're like, oh, well, this guy's got $1 million in the bank. How can he not qualify for a $250,000 loan? It's not the assets. We're not asset-based. With
Okay.
agencies, so Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, and Jenny, they make us have income to qualify. You take your debt to your income. So if
Okay.
it's not income generating, like you don't have an allotment that is being paid to you that you then report as income, then you can't use it as income to qualify. So if you have, like, again, back to that $1 million person, they would have to actually have, a dividend being paid into their account every single month that shows, let's say it's $5,000 or $6,000. And it has to show repetitiveness, and it also has to show a continuance of at least 36 months after you purchase.
Okay, so I have another question about that then. Let's say I bought something and I sold it for $1 million. Now I have $1 million in cryptocurrency as my asset. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. However, if I was to start a project that I was receiving residuals on a daily basis, and there was some type of income that the business was making on a regular basis, because of that project that I have, you could at one point maybe make an argument that that is income and that you can get qualified with that income.
As long as we see the consistency, and typically that is a 2-year history of that.
Okay, so it's because it's not
Because it's out of the ordinary,
Okay,
right? You've got
yeah.
to show, okay, I'm baselining this. This is how much I have in here. This is how much I'm going to have afterwards. I'm going to give you this allotment every single month that I'm receiving. And it also has to be reported as income to the IRS.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's one of the things, the biggest questions we have. Well, I get this money, or I have a roommate coming in, I'm going to have that money. Well, if it's not money that the IRS sees, we can't use it. And, back in 2008 when the crash happened, we could use it. So that's where the red tape came in for obvious reasons. So
That's interesting. I was just curious to hear your opinion on that.
One scenario I have is, and there's like kind of two parts. One, it's not really a scenario, I guess, just a question. Why would you lending or realtor? If you could start over, do it again, like, why not choose to be a realtor?
Well, I'm going to throw my husband under the bus for a second. He was a realtor for a hot minute, and he sucked at it. He was really bad at it. And I watched him do it, and he got super excited when he'd go under contract with 2 people, and then he would forget to do the wheel, of origination over here. And I can see where it can become, if you don't have systems in place and getting a couple things under contract, you are so inundated with that I don't
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they keep the wheels spinning on both sides of the fence. Now, being a lender has its challenges too, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing 3, 4, 17 pre-approvals a weekend, and they happen to be for the same house. That sucks because you can't say, hey, listen, I just did a pre-approval for another guy and tell him that, or don't write on this because my pre-approval I just did offered more. So we're doing, 3, 4 times the amount of work for the same property, and the probability of everybody getting the property is 0, and the probability of one person getting it's probably 5. So the answer to the question is, right now it's very challenging on both sides. The demand is relentless. It's artificially inflated because people are terrified, so they want to know something right away. And what I'm finding now, which is super important to point out, is that people that got their pre-approvals, a month ago, 2 months ago, are out there looking, need to call their lender and get pre-qualified again because the rates have spiked so much that the payments are changing $200 to $300 a month, and it could box them out, or it could put their affordability straight down the tube. So I don't know if that answers your question, but if I were to choose today, I would not want, I'd want to be right where I am. I enjoy problem solving. I enjoy the math of it. My husband would be like, you never ever would say math in your life. But, and I enjoy the relationship part of it and having the direct community to go after.
What about like if you had to become either a life insurance rep or a realtor, what would you pick?
I'd be a realtor.
Cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't sell life insurance ever.
I just wanted to hear you. I just wanted to envision you becoming this
I'd
realtor because I
probably-
know you would destroy the market. It would be like on CNN tomorrow.
I'd want to the Selling Annapolis show.
Exactly. That'd be funny.
My shoe game's pretty strong.
Let me see the shoes.
Well, I got Vans on today.
Oh, the slip-ons. No,
Yeah.
those are fire.
Yeah.
Those are very cool. Cool. Let's go through truth or trends. There's a couple things that I just wanted to ask you. Is this a truth or is it a trend?
Okay.
First up, the Washington Capitals. They're in the playoffs right now
They
against the
certainly are.
Panthers. I don't know what I think they were up 1-0. I don't know if they still are. I think they played tonight.
They played tonight. They won. They won on Tuesday night, and then they play Saturday. Come home on Saturday at 1:00, and I'm going.
You're going?
Yeah.
Is this franchise a truth? Or is it a trend? Like, are they going to be gone? Or is this truly a dynasty, a NHL dynasty?
Have you followed them ever?
Never.
Okay.
Definitely.
So,
I like the Flyers because I'm from Philly.
wow.
So, like,
Well, at least you're not a
whatever.
Penn fan. I'm a huge Caps fan. I don't know. Do you know that about me?
A little bit.
Okay, so I've been going to hockey games since I was 7. Like I was
Wow.
banging on the ice with Ron Huxtall when Ron Huxtall was a goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of that. You probably weren't even born yet. But my point is that I'm a huge Caps fan. I'm not a big baseball fan. I'm not. I mean, I'm a football fan, but to a level. But hockey's my thing, and the Caps have made it. They'll get into the playoffs and they'll lose second round all the time. They got to the Stanley Cup. I don't know what year it was, but it was the first time they made it to the Stanley Cup ever. And I was so excited. I stayed up until 2:00 in the morning. I went to Piney Orchard and I welcomed them into the arena to get prepared for the Stanley Cup. They got swept and they didn't win one single game.
Oh.
And then when they did win the Stanley Cup, most recently, I went and took the day off. We spent the night in D.C., took the kids out of school, and we
That's
watched the
cool.
parade, and it was phenomenal. But is it a trend? And look, history repeats itself. They're not going to make it that far because, I was watching the Bruins play last night, and they were playing Carolina, and we don't stand a chance against either one of them. Carolina's team is strong, so I'm hoping the Bruins sweep them, but we'll see.
Why do you like hockey so much?
I like the aggressive nature of I love the fights. I love all of the grit about it. It's kind of like lacrosse, but you just throw the ball down on the ice.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing. So if I could play guys lacrosse for a hot minute, I would.
Yeah, my wife played DD2 lacrosse, and I wish it was as aggressive as men's. And so does everyone on the field. Every parent is like, why are we blowing whistles? Like, still, like, senior year, watched every single game. Dads are like, why? Why are we blowing whistles and stopping the game? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the college game's gotten a lot more aggressive, which is great. I was a goalie, so because I couldn't stand being out on the field with all the whistles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great time for me.
What about Uber? Do you
Uber?
think that? Yeah. Do you think that's going to be around like in the next couple of years, like even more, or?
I don't see why not. I mean, it seems to be that that's the trend right now, but I think it will continue to last. I mean,
So you think it's a truth?
yeah, I mean, truth. Yeah, I think it's a truth. And that's a good, if I may add a little segue right now. I lost a friend 7 years ago today to a drunk driver.
No way.
We went to work and we left work together, and an accident happened on College Parkway.
Wow.
And I woke up to a text that he was gone. So it's super important to keep Uber as the truth, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about refinancing your home? When's the next boom of that going to be, you think?
Well,
if you had a guess.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I think it's serendipity that because this is the Chuck Nozick way. He's my friend who passed away. He would say, I love when rates hike up. And I'm like, why? Because he's like, because it's going to bring a refi boom later. And I've been telling all of my team that. I'm like, guys, just embrace this. Be in the moment. This is where it is. And then you're going to be the savior when the rates go back down. It's going to be a while. We're trying to slow down the inflation, and the inflation's continuing to rise, even though the rates are going up. So, because it's just demand right now. So until that evens itself out, I probably don't think for another 5 years we're going to see it. But it'll be, again, I'm sure, but not anytime soon.
If you had to put a year on it, if you had
25,
to.
maybe 26.
Oh, really? That soon?
Yeah, I know I said 5, but I think that's where we'll start to see the downside
Oh, I
of it.
thought you were saying 25 years.
No.
No.
2025, 26. Yeah.
Ocean City, Maryland. Is that a great place? Or is that just like, forget about it. Stop going there.
So I love it. I love the trash of Ocean City. I like to watch people all the time. I've been, I grew up very, very poor. So I could only afford a day trip with peanut butter and jelly and, a bag of chips that got sandy all day. And my mom would make us sit there for 7-8 hours on the beach. So that was my thing. So it's still my thing. Like, I like to go to the boardwalk. I like to see all the, there's a lot of people from Philly that come down, a lot of people from Pennsylvania. I love that, and I have a condo there, and I never frequent there because I'm so busy, but it reminds me of being a child, and I like to share that with my kids. And, of course, Bethany with the beach house would be, quieter, or going down to Florida and having something in the water, you'd pay the same amount of money. However, I just like the hustle and bustle. We hit the same places every time. It's like Secrets, the boardwalk. We're constantly going to every surf shop because my 14-year-old daughter is spot on a little surfer girl. So,
really?
Yeah. So that's what we
surfs?
do. Yeah.
Wow.
She's not a big surfer. She's a wannabe surfer,
Still.
but it's her thing.
I'm a wannabe surfer. That's why I skimboard. That's why I stay on the coast or whatever. I think Ocean City, Maryland is a truth. Like, I grew up in Jersey where we were going to Ocean City, New Jersey all the time. And we have Wildwood, which is kind of not exactly like Ocean City, Maryland, but I like Ocean City, Maryland. I like the beach town vibe, like boardwalk, like the smell of everything. And some people are just not about it. I was curious.
Yeah. I mean, our condo's on the northern side of, we're up by Jamestown, up 120th area. But yeah. We like to dip our head down past the 40s and come back up.
What's your favorite thing to do on the beach?
I don't know how to relax, so I just play lacrosse with my daughter. We do a lot of walks, morning walks. Take the dogs to the beach. I like watching the dogs, not know what's going on with the waves and try to eat all the sand and sneeze for 15 minutes. But
Can you talk to us a little bit about coaching inside of lacrosse? Because I feel like we didn't touch on that at all.
Yeah, so I've been doing it simultaneously as long as I've been a loan officer. I coached at the college level for 10 years, and then I coached at Severn School for 1 year. And then I picked up doing a travel team. So I've had, we call them by their grad years. So I did the graduation year of 12, 15, 19, and now I have the 26s. And it's really cool because my 12s are now married and having kids, and they're still reaching out to me, and I made an impact in their lives. And my 19s were a very strong team. There's 17 high-level Division I lacrosse players that went to like Maryland, Hopkins, Vanderbilt, Penn State, Northwestern. So it's really cool because they're in their junior year right now, and I'm able to watch them and seeing them on TV. One girl just got the Sportsmanship Award for Penn State,
Wow.
Rachel Spilker, and I'm so proud of her because her sister actually coaches with me right now on travel.
No way.
But it's just something that I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed just bringing these young ladies up and then watching them just, really excel. And some of them are owning their own businesses, and
having children, and it's really, really cool to see.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
What got you into that, like the coaching side of lacrosse, though? Was it originally University of Maryland?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah.
I didn't want to get out of college.
Wow.
So I was offered the opportunity to be the head coach of the club team, and I was like, yep, take it. I'll do it. So I was a loan officer at the company that I was crying myself to sleep with, and I was coaching. So I was having more fun with the coaching. So I'd go to Duke and Virginia Tech and JMU every weekend and, yeah,
Wow.
hang out with the girls. And you know, and then as the age started to gap itself, you know, that's when it became more serious. But I had a really good time.
That's awesome.
Are you still
Yeah.
connected to the team there?
No, I mean, no, where I'm connected to pieces, parts, they're all
Yeah.
throughout the country. The really cool thing when I decided to retire in 2010 at Maryland, because my business was starting to ramp up, they did a surprise party for me at Cornerstone, and they rented out the entire bar upstairs. And it was really cool because all 10 years, so an entire decade of girls came in and flew in for
wow.
that. So,
Nice.
yeah, it was really neat.
So, Kyndle, we talked a lot about relationships, obviously, and how, you know, you're so great with them, especially inside of the real estate community. I mean, this podcast happening right now is an example of that. Literally, you know, you are in great relationships with John, the Newman Group, Shaq, obviously, his team, our team, Jeff. Why do you think you connected with Shaq and John and us so well? Just out of curiosity.
Because you guys are real. You're real people. You know, and again, I go after people that are real and that I would make relationships with. It organically developed, you know. It's how it is with the Shaker team too. Same thing. I mean, but John's been super chill and cool and very forthcoming. Shaq, when I first met him, I was just like, man, this guy is, you know, he's the real deal.
When did you meet Shaq? Because you
God,
go
I
to
can-
like Shaq's like
I couldn't-
family.
yeah.
And stuff
I mean,
like
Tiff
that.
and I and Shaq will go out to dinner, and you know, I'm 100% supportive of their whole everything. I would say it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't really pinpoint that, but yeah,
But earlier on his realtor journey, you know, compared to where he is now, obviously, like, you know, what do you see even in Shaq, like, obviously with his award now, like, how is like, do you get to see growth inside of agents from
so
a
proud of
mortgage?
him. I'm
You
so
are?
proud of him. Do you know what I did when he won that? Did he tell you? So I put that corny sign yard thing in his yard.
No way.
Yeah. So when he got home from work, I was like, Tiff, is he home yet? And she's like, no, he's delayed again. I'm like, he needs to get home before the sun goes down. He has to see how ridiculous this is. And it said 30 under 30 for NAR. In his,
No
and then the
way.
next day he's like, love you, babe, but when are they picking this up? Because we share a yard. It's like, they're coming to get it. So I have seen tremendous growth. I've seen a tremendous confidence. I see a leader building in him, which is super, super cool. I remember going to breakfast with him a couple of years ago at the breakfast shop, and John came in and then left, and then him and I got to have some one-on-one time, and I really didn't know him, but I got to just kind of figure out who he is and what his goals are and his tenacity to want to, he doesn't want to fail.
Yeah.
And you can see it all over his face. And that's me. That's my person. So, you know, we connect with the right people, and, you know, some people, you know, I love all these agents in here, and we can connect or we don't connect, and we're still friendly, and we, if I can add value in a way, great. But that's like extra. It's the friendship that means a lot to me more than anything.
Is there any agents or teams that you would suggest us connecting with? Like, is there any other people inside of this industry that are just like absolutely crushing it, and like, you know, maybe people that we might have not have thought to connect with just off the top of the head? Anyone
I
in
don't
general?
see, like, I mean, big teams, I think that, you know, everybody has their own little chemistry, and you just kind of have to take a little token from it and just kind of resonate with that. I'm not in building mode, so I haven't been going out to see new teams lately. That's where my team is doing. I'm in concentrated mode, so I want to become less diluted. So I got business from 132 agents last year. Where I'm going to scale down my business is to focus on your team, focus on the
Wow,
Shaker team,
okay.
focus on, so that I can be sharp and I can be available. And so to answer your question, yeah, I'm sure I could surface a couple. You know, you wind me up, you put me out there, I'll find one for you. But I haven't been out on the streets really looking for. But there are some strong players that I'm seeing get some serious momentum in this down market, and it's worth paying attention to. I stalk at night, so Facebook's my thing because that's my age, right? But I stalk it. I see who's doing what. It's free information. I don't know why anybody wouldn't be doing that, to see who's closing what and where they're closing it and how many deals they're doing. You can find that out in a click of a button.
It really seems like all of real estate lives on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, my kids make fun of me because I'm on Facebook, but that's where I am. Yeah, I mean, that's where the connectors are, and I think that I've gotten some growth through it. I probably get about 15 to 20 deals off of Facebook a year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It's funny because Lindsay on my team, she'll be like, well, where's this one come from? I'm like, I don't know. Where'd this one come from? I don't know. And then we just have to put, it came off of Facebook. But I had one last night that came through, and I was able to give it back to an agent,
That's phenomenal.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's very cool. Jeff, any last questions for you?
No, I just want to say thank you for coming on. This was awesome.
Well, I'm super excited that you guys had me. Doing this is so fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I love what you guys are doing, and take it to the moon because you're going there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It won't be the last episode.
Yeah. Well, I'll come anytime, and if you want me to bring any of my girls with
Kyndle.
the other Kyndle, she'll bring the youth to the conversation.
No, you're so youthful. You're talking about everything on here.
Yeah, but
my gosh.
No, I do appreciate it. You guys are super chill. Thank you.
No problem. Well, thank you guys for watching. Another great episode. Make sure that you guys are watching or listening on Spotify. The new episodes will be coming out.
Apple,
there.
Spotify, Stitcher, MySpace,
everything.
Tumblr, wherever you want to watch.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for watching.